the concept itself, by giving us the power locally to be able to do what we are doing, is an advantage because we know our communities better than anyone.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 239. Can drones be used to provide social good? For that question, we go to Senegal, West Africa, and talk to Tiamyou Radji, director of KRANTH Senegal Flying Labs, a social enterprise that develops concepts for collecting, sharing, and using drone data to stimulate change. KRANTH is part of the WeRebotics global network of local flying hubs in emerging economies. The goal of Flying Labs is to localize the safe, responsible, and meaningful use of robotics to accelerate social good solutions. Flying Labs build local ecosystems and markets, creating new jobs through the use of robotics and associated data products. Tiamyou has worked and consulted for a variety of social good organizations, including the UN. His experience spans business development, technology resource planning, technology risk management, feasibility studies, and consulting with international donors and agencies. He's led and implemented numerous information and communication technology projects in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. He's a certified professional UAV pilot and has extensive experience in network security and satellite communication. In this edition of the Drone Radio Show, Tiam talks about the use of drones in West Africa to provide social good and create sustainable economic development for local communities. But before we hear from Tiam, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Now you have the option of making a one-time donation in any amount by going to droneradioshow.com/donate. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. And if you'd like to make a monthly contribution, you can still go to patreon.com/droneradioshow. So let's learn how drones can provide social good in West Africa with Tiamyou Radji of Senegal Flying Labs. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Tiam to introduce himself.
My name is Radji Tiamiyou, and I'm a social entrepreneur. I have over 20 years of experience working in the international development across the continent and the world. I'm privileged to say that I have actually contributed in working with some of the institutions, if you allow me to call them, DFID, Catholic Relief Services, UNOPS. In 2016, I funded a social Senegalese enterprise called KRANTH, where we developed concepts of collecting, sharing, and using drone data to stimulate change.
Before we talk about what you're doing with Senegal Flying Labs, can you share with us the concept of Flying Labs in general?
The Flying Lab Network is an international network of local knowledge hubs, and the goal of the Flying Lab is to really create local capacity and expertise in the use of drone technology. And when we're talking about drone technology, we include drone data and artificial intelligence, AI, and for social good. So the objective is to actually build capacity and expertise in the use of this technology in a sustainable, meaningful, and responsible way.
And this is all part of the WeRebotics network.
Exactly. WeRebotics actually created this concept in 2016, and we are part of the network. Overall, I think we have 25 flying labs across the world, and 12 are in Africa. And as part of the 12 in Africa, Senegal Flying Lab is one of them. And then we, as a Senegalese Flying Labs, are actually covering the West and Central Africa countries, supporting them. So we actually focus on solving social challenges, local and regional needs through the use of the technology, the robotics technology, and AI. So our vision is to actually bring knowledge, advice, and opportunities that drone technologies offers to development actors. Because we know that increasingly rely on data to positively contribute to social, economic, and environmental policies. So our objective is to contribute to that by bringing the knowledge and opportunities. We do that in collaboration with our partners, and one of them is WeRebotics, and we develop research and development concepts, sharing concept, and data-driven decision-making ecosystem to be able to push this agenda forward.
How does it work in Senegal? I mean, how do you get the data into the community where it can help?
It's important to explain that it's basically not about the drone, because drone really are not solving the issue. Drone will not really solve the issue. Data-driven decision-making and more efficient supply chain system will do. So in today's conversation, we got stuck with the concentration on drone. It is our job to bring the other part of in the discussion. So drone is only 10% of the whole work that we do. So we contribute by, first of all, doing an advocacy activity. We provide advocacy services across the country, across the continent. Why? Because we believe that the first way and the sustainable way to use this technology is to understand the technology, its limits and its advantages and strengths. So we do that by building capacity of professionals. So in Senegal, for instance, we have contributed into empowering students from universities, train professionals from government institutions and academia. We also provide advices and consultancy advices and support to some of the NGOs on the continent. The Red Cross of Senegal, for instance, they actually have a system to collect household data on the ground, having their volunteers collecting the household data. And this year, we have experienced some flooding, for instance, in Senegal. And one of the activities we as Flying Lab are providing is the area data to be able to superpose that and match that with the ground data that their volunteers collect, which will help them to inform the decision and help them to actually direct the investment rights.
What are some of the needs for the data from drones in Senegal and in other parts of West Africa?
Drones allow to contribute to most of the SDGs and by providing some timely, affordable, and high-resolution data that can be collected locally. We believe that the drones technology today is providing information after local disaster. For instance, in some of the countries that we work in, agricultural data in the fields are being collected today using drone because it's much more accurate, it's high resolution. It helps to be able to produce the data locally, then will contribute into, a high value chain system by supporting the farmers. We also create opportunities, job opportunities for the youth because it is needed. We are building capacity today because we want to create job opportunities for the youth. Last but not the least, we use drone images today to help protect the environment. In some of these countries that we work in, particularly in Senegal, illegal activities are ongoing, illegal logging are ongoing, illegal mining and poaching. We are helping today the departments in charge of these sectors to be able to provide them with accurate data to help them have impacts on what they are doing.
Do you see yourselves more as a service provider or as trainers?
Depending on the needs, at a point in time, we provide the service to be able to teach while providing the service, train while providing the service. But most of the time, our vision and objective is not to provide a service, is to be able to transfer the knowledge, to build capacity for the institutions and the private sector and industry so that they can be able to do the work themselves. But as you know, drones are not just a technology that can be copied and pasted. So we participate in the process by building capacity, by transferring the knowledge. Before an institution gets into a decision to buy a drone in Africa, they want to test it. They want to be sure that it can provide them what they want and what they have been looking for. So we help them First of all, by bringing this technology close to them, because we have drones, we have the know-how, we are certified, then we show them what to do and how to do it together. And then at the end of the day, the transfer of competency is easier, and then it can be sustainable.
Do you have any current projects that you can share with us?
Yes, we do. We have some projects underway right now. First of all, one of the major projects we are running is to create an opportunity for Africa and West Africa, particularly drone pilot, to be certified. So we partner with a company in the UK called dronetraining.co.uk. They have certified many drone professionals and pilots in West Africa today. They have done that in other parts of the continent, but we have launched that process in October this year, and the second training is coming on, for instance, in December this year. One of the other things we're doing is to be able to introduce this technology in the schools. So we have a program we call Hamal Drone School. It's in the local language, which means discover drone in school. We try as much as we can to bring the technology closer to the students who are at the level where they can understand some of these things and make decisions in their future. One of the activities, for instance, the project we're working on is together with the Ministry of Environment. The Ministry of Environment, as part of their biodiversity conservation program, has embarked on using some technology to be able to solve the issues, the pressing issues, because they have national parks, wildlife reserve, and they want to protect them. They want to collect some data. So we are working with the Ministry of Environment today to build the capacity of 10 of their field staff to be able to use the drone technology to collect the data. They want to count the birds in some of these protected areas. They want to be able to map these protected areas. So we are supporting them today with a training program to be able to capacitate them so that they can be able to do this sustainably in the near future. And then we also, as I said earlier, supporting the Red Cross of Senegal to be able to collect data, to match the data with their ground data, to allow them to take some steps into using their time wisely and their funds wisely.
It appears that mapping on a wide scale hasn't really occurred in many parts of Africa like it has in the US or in other Western countries. Why is that? And how do you see drones offering a change?
Yeah, mapping data has not been widely done because there was no much opportunity for Africa continent and professionals on the continent to have access to some of this satellite data. That is the opportunity that it owns to us today. So it is easy for us today to be able to do some mapping and be able to use the data that we get out of those mapping to take decisions. Formerly, you have to invest a lot of money, do a lot of work professionally and technically to be able to use the data that satellite provides, which are fine because it's a combination of data that can be used for decision making. But the drone data is much more accurate, it's much more timely, and it's of a high resolution that helps decision making today. So the way you use drones in the US, in the States, is not the same way we use it in Africa. And out of mapping, we use drone data for many other things. You know how today drones are being used for delivery in the medical sector. You know now that we are actually using drones today into observing and protecting some of the environmental systems that we have on the continent. So out of just mapping, we use drones a lot.
What sort of results are you seeing from your programs?
A lot of results. And first of all, in January 2019, we actually convened over 60 professionals, students, universities, agencies, government agencies, and NGOs to co-create a workshop where we discuss and share what the drones are about. Out of that, many projects were initiated. Out of that project that we initiated in January, today we have trained over 60 government agency professionals who are independent today, and they can use the drone technology to be able to do their work they used to do in the past. We've been able to train professionals in Burkina Faso using drone data today. Some of the achievement as well was to be able to use case studies to show how drones can be used in agricultural sector. That was done together with the Department of Agri in Senegal and in Burkina Faso. And many other projects are currently ongoing that will probably roll up to the end of the year. And then by beginning of next year, we'll have to sit down and see how far we have done.
Are drones well accepted in West Africa?
Yes, well accepted, but the regulations in some of the countries in West Africa and Senegal are still evolving. We are still building on what other countries have done. And one of the things that we are contributing into doing is to support the civil aviation authorities in our countries to be able to learn from good experience in Europe, in Africa, to be able to build on that in some of the countries. Of course, the regulations are not really at the moment supporting the rollout of this technology, but we are not actually discouraged because the progress we've made in some of the countries, I think if we go at the same speed, we will be able to achieve success in the near future.
Do you think drones can have a positive impact on the economy?
Oh, yes. The impact is already showing. Today, it's easy for us to have a call from organizations looking for drone pilots to use. Drones today are being used in agri for spraying in Africa. Drone today has been introduced to the point where it is easy today for professional to provide its services to any partner who is interested in the services today. We have even got to the point where we're having government agencies today supporting the setup of drone ecosystem in Senegal, which means the impact and the results are showing and the opportunities are there for the youth to take advantage on, because it will not be easy if we want to use the technology on the continent and then we don't have the human resources to use them. One of the activities we're doing is capacity building, as I said earlier. So today, the impact is great. It is promising. And once again, we believe strongly that in the long term, we will see more greater impact of the drone technology on the continent.
What challenges do you see in fulfilling your mission?
One of the challenges is the acceptance of the technology, which, contribute to the work that we are doing, the advocacy work that we are doing. The other challenge is the regulations fees. The fees that are charged for authorizations in some of the countries in Africa are huge. And we do not want governments or civil aviation authorities in our countries to actually consider drones as a new way to make money, if I may say so. And one of the challenges is also for government to understand and consider drone as the technology that is really creating local jobs, business, and value for social good. So those are the little challenges we have, but we believe that the work we are doing will easily take those challenges out of our way.
I know that you're funded primarily through donations, so could you tell us who are the key donors for Senegal Flying Labs?
One of the major donors we have is Jason Prime State Foundation. They have actually supported Senegal Flying Lab and the setup of the Senegal regional office with $600,000. It's just part of what we need to be able to achieve the objectives we have set of ourselves. The other supporting donors are the WeRebotics. They actually don't put money on the table, but they put the capacity building services on the table. They support us to rebuild our approach. They bring about many opportunities that we don't believe anybody could actually bring to us. And if you permit me, I'll give you some few. WeRebotics, for instance, give us access to robotics. So today, if we want to buy a drone, WeRebotics can negotiate for us to get it at lower price. For instance, WeRebotics give us access to international standards and certification. So the negotiations we had, for instance, with the UK training company was done by WeRebotics. So they help us to negotiate that and bring that to us. There are some access to softwares that we would not be able to have access to if it's not through the network. Peace 4D, for instance, support the Flying Lab networks. Esri, support the Flying Lab networks. Don't Log Books, support the Flying Labs network. Those are opportunities that we would be able to get easily. And last but not the least, some local agencies in some of our countries even ready to put money on the table to support us. In Senegal, for instance, the institution, the government agencies that is called DER is discussing with us right now, not supporting. They're actually discussing with us right now how they can be able to help to support us achieve our objectives.
Because we've been talking about West Africa, tell us about the countries that Senegal Flying Labs operates.
The Senegal Flying Lab covers some countries like Senegal, of course. We have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Cameroon, Benin, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Mali, and other countries like La Réunion and Morocco, because they speak French. So WeRebotics, by creating the regional office, put together the French-speaking countries for easy communication, for easy sharing, and cross-border sharing and knowledge sharing.
How does Senegal Flying Labs interface with the other flying labs in the WeRebotics network?
We work very strongly together, and that is one of the advantages of being part of this network, because today I can sit down in Dakar in Senegal and speak to somebody in Panama about what I'm doing and learn from that person in Panama or Nepal that they have already achieved something. It's easy for me not to reinvent the wheel and learn from them. So we have this channel on Slack that we communicate a lot, and we also have regional calls where all the flying labs get together, share the experience, share the progress they are making, share the project on which they are working, and even share the methodologies that they're using. That way, it makes life much more easier for some of us or some of the countries who are lacking behind to catch up. So the network itself, the strength of the network itself, I think lies there. Because today, by meeting the Ministry of Agri or Ministry of Environment, it's easy for me to be confident that whatever challenges I'm facing, somebody probably in a network has faced that already and will be able to share back with me how they overcome that challenge. So that is the advantage we have. And of course, we also learn every day. This morning, before I wake up, many emails, many communication, many messages came across, even informing us about what is happening in the UK. So just to tell you how strong this network is.
When you look at your communities, what do you feel are the strongest benefits or opportunities for drones?
I think the strongest opportunities for communities we speak with is access to data. Access to data that they know was inaccessible to them because it was expensive, was difficult in the past. The second opportunity was to be able to allow them to collect the data themselves, to participate in this process, because the community engagement is key, is paramount to what we do. So they contribute and participate to this. Just to give you a scenario, we went out this week with the Red Cross of Senegal to a suburb of Dakar where there was a flooding. We had to access these areas together with the area vigilance. Those are the gentlemen who are in the area, who knows the whereabouts of the area. They're actually collecting the data themselves and seeing the data themselves. So when we are doing this, they believe that it is easier for them to show us what and where to collect the data rather than us coming in to do it. So in short, I think access to information, access to knowledge, and being able to do it themselves is something that has touched us since we have started working on this project.
What has this experience been like for you personally?
Oh, man, very rewarding. In short, very rewarding. I have been very proud to have been part of this. I don't think money can buy what we are learning and sharing with our communities. And coming from the development myself, the way it is being done now is a bit different from in the past. So personally, I think First, we wouldn't have been able to do this without the support of WeRebotics and the other partners. But secondly, they will not be able to do it for us because this is a local job and this is the local activity that we need to run ourselves because we know our communities better than anyone. So the concept itself, by giving us the power locally to be able to do what we are doing, is an advantage rather than sitting here to be dictated what needs to be done. So personally, that is how I feel about it.
Thinking of all the people that you've worked with and their stories, is there one that stands out where drones really had a big impact?
Yes, I'll give you an example of when we were called together about 25 government agencies to be trained on how to collect and use data for decision making. One of the story was that I think a week before that training, one of the agencies told us that a week before they joined this training, if they had known that drone could provide the same services to them and even better, they wouldn't actually have invested that money because they have to actually purchase satellite data, millions of CFA, local money, satellite data, to be able to do the work they were supposed to do. And that work, that investment has gone early before they met us and had access to the training. And for us, if we are able to share that knowledge and make people think twice and change their mind about what they used to do and want to do it differently, I think we are making progress. Because if that gentleman from that department had met us earlier, I think we would have saved a lot of money to their department. Unfortunately, it was done before they met us, but they decided that henceforth, for any project they want to run, they will also put drone on the table as part of the technologies that they might try to use for the project.
What impact do you hope Senegal Flying Labs will have on the future?
We believe that if we continue the way we're doing now, we will first of all help to harmonize the regulations with some of the countries in our region. Harmonize the regulations is key because it is very difficult and unacceptable for us to be in the same region, in West African region, and have like 8 countries speaking French in the West African region here, and none of them have been able to speak to each other on regulations. We believe that we will want to contribute into making that happen. In the near future, we expect that we will have a lot of professionals, drone pilots on the continent, where drones job opportunities will be just like any job opportunity. We will get to a point where instead of organizations, international organizations, bringing in drone pilots from across the world to just come in and help them collect data on the continent, that will be replaced by local pilots, local youth, to be able to collect that data and help them by contributing into making their environment better and work-life better.
Is there anything that we missed that we should talk about, Tiam?
To our civil aviation authorities and government, I think they need to consider drones as really a new technology that allowing to create jobs. Regulations, fees should not be a new income opportunity for governments and institutions that are running the drone policies. For industries, I think it's important for industry to invest into capacity building because they are not doing that a lot at the moment. It's important for us to have that. And naturally, I want to stress on the point that it is really not about the drone. It is what they can enable us and how they can help to create values. Because we strongly believe that flying drones will not solve the issues. Data-driven decision-making and more efficient supply chain will do. So it's important for us to inform that in everything we do, 10% is related to drone, and 90% really is to create values with the drone technology, meaning data, community engagement, and other activities. So it is our work to make sure that the 90% part of the activities that we do is well known and it is accepted by everyone.
Do you feel that the agencies that you work with understand this concept, or are they enamored with the drone?
Most of them at the beginning were a bit reluctant, but most of the time after meeting with us, they change their mind. They accept the technology, they accept the concept, and they want to try. They want to test to see. And by doing that, we help them create some case studies, try as much as we can to do some pilot projects to show them that it can be done and that it can be timely and faster for them to use this technology locally to produce the same data that they might actually want to get out of satellite. So these agencies today, I think most of them are actually recommending us to meet other agencies who have not met us yet. So it is encouraging to know that what we are doing depends on how we explain that and how we want to get that tool. It's going to work.
And for my final question, Tiam, what message would you like to leave regarding drones and the future of West Africa?
I think the main message I want to share is that the approach is local. There is no way for us to believe that we don't have the capacity on the continent. It is important for industries, for government, for international organizations, for partners to support what we are doing on the continent. Some of the partners are already doing that. Some have put money on the table. Some have put their time on the table. We appreciate that, and we believe that we need more donors to support what we are doing on the continent. And if we are supported, we will be able to do the job locally.
That's it for episode 239 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Tiamyou Radji of Senegal Flying Labs. I want to thank Tiam for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Senegal Flying Labs or want to connect with Tiam, check out the webpage at flyinglabs.org/Senegal. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate or patreon.com/droneradioshow. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Gores.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.